What's up everyone, this is Max Red. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to make a sad trap type of beat from scratch. We're going to use a little bit of everything from one-shot samples, a loop, MIDI files, and a VST instrument. So let's get started. To start, we'll be using this loop sample from the Cymatics Viper pack that was released a while back. Notice that our sample is in B minor and it's also 110 beats per minute. Once our locators are set, we can go ahead and listen to the sample. Okay, that sounds great, but we're going to go ahead and time stretch this sample. After you make sure that your audio track is highlighted, you go ahead and click on musical mode. There are several modes for time stretching. We're actually going to go with Elastic Pro for pitch. Okay, let's listen to that. So my plan is to use that loop as a part A. For a part B, we're actually going to drag in the same sample, but we're going to do something different to that. So we put it in musical mode just like we did the first sample. But for this one, we're actually going to go up a whole octave. And to do that, we have to type in the number 12 in the Transpose panel to make sure it goes up 12 whole steps. So that really changed up the sample quite a bit. It gives it a wicked type of sound, which is what I'm looking for. So now we need to set our tempo a little bit higher. I don't know why, but I'm going with 134 beats per minute, something between 130 and 140. Now let's hear the B part sample. Our next step is to add drums. We're going to do that by adding sampler tracks and loading one-shot samples into the sampler control. We can create multiple tracks at the same time. It's a good idea to name your tracks individually. We'll name this one the kick. The next one we'll name the clap, and so on. So now we have to add our one-shot samples to all of our sampler tracks. We'll start with the kick. If you notice, this kick is labeled in G. On the piano display, you can set the correct root note as G. We'll add the rest of the samples to our clap, our snare, and so on. Don't forget your 808. That's also in G. So one way to create a drum track is to lay down your top first, like your hi-hats, your claps, and snares. That way you have rhythm before you're adding the kick and your bass. I treat it sort of like a click track. Now we're adding our claps on every third step because we are working in halftime. Next, we're going to work on hi-hats. Double click to create the event. Double click again. Now we can draw them in. This will be my part A hi-hats. I want to do something a little bit different. See if it works out. hi-hats can be tricky because they can create a bounce for your track. So we keep trying until we find something that we like. You should definitely adjust your velocities to give your hi-hats more bounce. Now we're working on our snare. These are called ghost notes. They can give your percussion more rhythm. Now we can do an open hi-hat. Next, we're going to do the 808 and the kick. But before we do that, we have to determine what pitch our sample is in. And we use Vari Audio for that. You can see here that the root note is G. Based on that, we can definitely lay out our 808 and it'll be in tune with our sample. Okay, so now we can lay out our 808. For this track, I'm going to try to follow the melody and hope that it works out. It's all trial and error for me. So for the kick track, I copy the 808, drag it into the kick track. Now remember, they're both in G, so they're going to be in tune. Also, don't forget to name that event. So I'm pretty happy with our beat so far. Our next step is to arrange our tracks. The reason we do that is because we want to have an intro, a verse, a chorus, a bridge, or an outro. Now you can simply highlight your events and drag them over, move them around, put them where you want to put them. My intros are usually 8 bars long, so this is where I start my A part. So you can combine all of your events into one single event simply by highlighting them and using your glue tool. So let's listen to what we have so far. So the next thing that we're going to do is add a layer to our melody loop. For this, I'm going with Omnisphere, and I'm looking for a bell type of sound. I'm choosing one called In Memoriam. There's 2 of them, so I'm going with number 1. Now I'm just going to add it to the second half of my B part. I'm trying to widen up the view so we can get a better look at what we're doing. Now we know we are in G. We have all the notes, so we can start drawing them in. Although the scale assist is helpful, sometimes it gets in my way, so I turn it off. So we've added all of our parts, and now I'm going to extend the B part melody so we can have a bridge or maybe an outro with it. So now we can listen to our beat and everything that we've done to it. We've got our intro, we've got our A part, a B part, and we even have a bridge. Let's listen to it.